Hello world! I previously made a video comparing the 13-inch MacBook Pro M1 against the highest spec 13-inch Intel MacBook Pro running Ableton Live. That video ended up being super popular, particularly as it focused on a few simple but practical real-world tests. The M1, with its 16 gigs of RAM, fared really well against the much pricier top-spec 32 gig Intel MacBook, particularly when it came to buffer size. But that was back in the dark ages, when Ableton hadn't yet been written to run natively on Apple Silicon. Put simply, that meant that whenever Ableton was running, something called Rosetta would run in the background, acting as a bridge to translate the Intel-based instructions, coming from Ableton, into Apple Silicon instructions that the M1 chip can understand. But with Ableton 11.1 bringing full Apple Silicon support, it's time to settle this once and for all. So lock the doors, lower the blinds, fire up the smoke machine, and let's find out just how well the M1 really fares running Ableton. Let's get started. To keep everything consistent, this test uses the exact same project file as the previous tests. Luckily, all the third-party plugins in the project, such as Omnisphere and Serum, also now run natively on the M1. The one exception was an instance of Isotope Ozone on the master channel, which I've replaced with FabFilter Pro L2 to give us an almost identical project that runs completely natively on the M1. Yeah! The same set of external devices will be connected, just as before, to put the MacBook under a realistic load, typical in music production. And at the top of the screen in each test, I'll show the results from the previous video to compare against, with Intel on the left and M1 on the right. All together now.
Bring them both together, we got juking all night.
So let's begin with the first test. 1. Project load time. How quickly does the project take to open? 3, 2, 1. So running natively, we actually see the exact same load time as when the project was opened on the M1 running through Rosetta. So no actual improvement here. But luckily, that's where the underwhelming results end. So let's move on to 2. Track freeze time. Now, let's freeze exactly the same single track as last time. 3, 2, 1. Well, look at it go. 5 seconds. That's a huge improvement over the M1 running through Rosetta, and almost twice as fast as the Intel beast. Okay, let's try multiple tracks with third-party plugins, just like last time. 3, 2, 1. Holy moly. Clearly there's been a lot of optimization under the hood, either when it comes to running third-party plugins or processing multiple things at once, as that was just as quick as the single track freeze time. Okay, now we're cooking. Let's keep going. 3. Project export time. Let's see how long it takes to export the entire project. 3, 2, 1. Again, another speed improvement over not only the M1 running through Rosetta, but also over the top-range Intel model. So whereas in the previous tests, the M1 and Intel Mac both had their own strengths and weaknesses, the M1 running completely natively is now consistently winning, hands down. Alright, let's move on to the final test. The big one. 4. Buffer size. Now remember back to the previous video, where the Intel MacBook could already run this entire project on an impressively low buffer size of 128, and the M1 on an even more astounding buffer size of 64. So it surely can't get any better than that, can it? You are joking. 30 flipping 2, and not a hint of dubstep. Now, of course, in practical terms, you never really need to set the buffer size that low. But it does mean that you can almost forget about the buffer size altogether. Personally, I've been tending to just set and forget the buffer size to about 1:8, giving plenty of wiggle room for processing, while latency is more than good enough for recording. And because no legitimate study is ever complete without them, let's take a look at some graphs. With Ableton Live running completely natively on the M1, we now see it performing substantially better than the top-spec 13-inch Intel model across the board, with freeze time almost 2 times faster, further improvements in export time, and a remarkable ability to run large projects with a low buffer size and latency. And once again, there wasn't even a whisper from the fan in every one of these tests. Remarkable. I have to say that after getting over the initial headache of waiting for plugins and software updates, writing music on the MacBook Pro M1 has been a real joy. I just work without ever worrying about overloading the project, stutters, glitches, or anything grinding to a halt. During this in limbo phase of plugin updates for Apple Silicon, I've also adopted the approach of relying less on third-party plugins and really relishing in all the incredible things that Ableton already has to offer, built in. I actually have a series of videos called Ableton Gems, where I highlight some of the particularly useful devices and presets that Ableton has to offer. If you're also interested in really getting the most out of Ableton, I'll link to an episode of Ableton Gems at the end of this video. And I'll be releasing the next in the series very soon, so if you like, click the subscribe button below to find out as soon as it's released. Click.